Good morning, everybody. I should be right here. This is IT Live, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. I'm joined by Eric Nalin and the big dog, Joe Cook. We're going to see if Charlie makes it in here a little bit later, but we got Joe as the replacement, and he's going to be an awesome six-man. All right. First things first, we're still doing the $1 promo, correct, gentlemen? I've been a little disconnected this weekend. Join for $1, everybody. Come over to Inside Texas. Incredible portal news dropping all the time. Of course, about to fire up the analysis machine as we near the Michigan contest. Today, we are going to discuss offseason moves for players and coaches, and we are going to give percentages to let you know how confident we are on their return. And also, we'll talk new running back coach. We haven't got to talk about that yet, so I'm very, very excited. Gentlemen, let us begin. Percentages first. Everyone is so excited about these. All right, I kind of need to hide them, so I'm not going to show you guys all at once and give away the goods. All right, so this is going to work better. Number
it's
one.
A lot of fun because, percentages for the longest time over on IT, it's about a lot of recruiting. And, we'll get the Justin and Charlie and Eric on that. And, certain numbers always have meant certain things, but this is a new spin on it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Percentages in the recruiting world cracks me up. Like confidence, like 60% is pretty much the 100% of recruiting percentages, even like across all sites and things like that. It always cracks me up.
Well, that's after the prediction is made. So if the prediction goes from all right, you make your prediction and it's 10% with the prediction's already in. 60% is what I start to feel pretty confident about it. Yeah. I don't put anything lower. But if I put 90% on a straight percentage, that means it's pretty much done. It's going to happen. I never go 100 because there's no such thing as 100 in recruiting. Yeah. There's not really anything in 100 in coaching changes either because things can change pretty quick. But yeah, these are always fun. This is who do we have? We have portal potential transfer players. Then we have guys. We did percentages on guys staying or going to the NFL, and then also coaching turnover.
Yeah. Wait up. Before we go here, we had some interesting news. Joe posted Lagway to the portal. Where do we think? Let's speculate, gentlemen.
I was going to say Baylor until, Aranda's basically on the hot seat just because of the proximity. Because TCU, U of H, Texas A&M all have a quarterback. And now I'm just kind of thinking maybe this is where Lane makes a big splash.
Lane, I don't know. Does Lane not like Michael Van Buren? Van Buren's pretty good. Yeah. Lagway's a reclamation project, 23 picks in 2 seasons and not a ton of passing attempts for him to have that many picks. So that's an issue. His dad played at Baylor, but Aranda's in the hot seat. I would have thought, Arkansas and just kind of follow the Taylon Green thing, but, they just had turnover, so you have to reassess that. What about Mississippi State with Levy? I'm just thinking about a good opportunity where he can light it up. That's what he should be looking at. He should not be looking at high-profile situation. This is not the same as coming out as a 5-star quarterback. Who's going to pay you, where you're going to start, and who's going to develop you? Because he does have a lot of NFL tools.
And he needs to be seriously developed because it's the feet are bad and all of that stuff. A lot of the name brands have been doing pretty poor at that. They've just been getting kind of playmakery guys and not molding them well. What about Houston? Didn't they land their quarterback of the future too in the recruiting class or something?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. There's a tie in there. Keyshawn Henderson was coached by Michael Bishop, who played at Willis. Lagway's from Willis, and Bishop I think helped out at Willis as well. But they just U of H went to the mattresses to get Keyshawn Henderson, and they're probably gonna have to take some freshman lumps with him.
Tech is after the Cincy quarterback, right?
Sorsby. Yeah.
Maybe
the U, if he doesn't mind staying in Florida after Beck. I don't know what their quarterback situation looks like, but that'd be a good
tough cycle.
Yeah, you're going to get protected.
USC. I don't know. The answer is he picked a really bad time to portal because everyone has their quarterbacks, right? And some of the shine's off now, right? Because it was year one. It was like, well, he threw picks, but he was a young guy, and then that. So I don't even know what system. Y'all probably watched him more in high school, but didn't seem like he was great at the pro style version of Napier. Is he what did he look like in high school? Was it spread attack? Do y'all even know?
He should be looking for veer and shoot. That's why I said Levy. You run him between the tackles and let him chuck it deep.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. The NFL is going to hate that because it doesn't it's one of the least translatable ones, but yeah. All right. We have DeAndre Moore. And this is confidence they do return.
No. Oh yeah. I changed it up midway. I had to change all my percentages. I'm like, what's the reader gonna? What's gonna be easier for the reader to digest? And I already confused myself. It is Monday morning.
So these are the confidence that they do return, just so we can
Right.
understand the rest of the article. DeAndre Moore is number 1, and he is at 20% here.
Yeah, 20%. I think he's either gonna go to the portal or test the NFL waters. One of the two. Just chase his best financial incentives. I think Texas is going to try to find a wide receiver in the portal if he leaves. Now I could be wrong, but 20% return. I'm feeling pretty confident that he's going to go test his opportunities, either portal or NFL.
He'd be one to watch too, because like I said, I have a little sympathy for him this year because Arch couldn't even hit him the first half of the season, but then he has the big game, and then he comes back to drop. So that's a whole new world. And DeAndre Moore's been negotiating, man. He was negotiating out of high school and stuff like that. So hey, man, whatever you need.
Yeah, this is one of those all in the game things. They wrestled him away from Louisville. Seems like they're always battling Louisville for guys. And then they had to re-sign him this past offseason when he had 7 touchdowns on 39 catches. Pretty good ratio there. Didn't quite deliver this year, but the talent is there. I just think, I think Texas it's just going to be a business decision, mutual parting ways. That's my prediction anyway. It's not set in stone. Obviously, he's still with the team, hasn't declared anything.
Yeah. Joe, any thoughts on Moore?
Whenever I look at all these different players, I kind of think like, what's next? And you could do, well, it could be the portal as far as like replacing him goes, if he does make that decision. So it's like, okay, maybe you look at the portal for a wide receiver. But then you also can look at what you still got. And, Dalen McCutcheon got a lot of good snaps this year in that spot. So it's one of those, it's like Eric said, it's the game, it's business. You've got to make these decisions. But what are the after effects? And one of the after effects could be, okay, well, Dalen McCutcheon, your turn to take over and be that guy and play an important part in this offense that he's done this year pretty well.
They could even stay pat, repurpose that money for offensive line or what else, because you can play Dalen McCutcheon. He's a stud there. You could play Jamie French there, who's coming along. You can even go with your 3 wide and figure out one of your guys, Mosley, Livingston, or Wingo, can play in the slot. So they've got a lot of options there. But I do think they're going to look at somebody, that kid out of Auburn, that his intentions came out that he's going to go. He's pretty interesting. I want a guy that's got 20 catches and is looking to go big time next year. 20 catches with a lot of upside. That's what I'm looking for.
Find value.
Yeah. Here, this Jose Castle. Let's get to this question real quick. Would you rather have Jaluk target Sherrod Baker from DeSoto or Landon Williams-Callis from Richmond Randall? Callis all day long. Callis. I mean, first of all, Callis it's going to be Oregon or A&M as things currently sit. Texas hasn't recruited him nearly as hard. Jaluk hasn't recruited Callis that hard either. And so these, you can maybe have a chance to reset that recruitment with, hey, look, I just got to town. Really love your tape. You can do that sort of thing. But he's also offered a couple guys on the East Coast or the Southeast that look really, really good too. So I don't think either of those guys are going to end up at Texas, honestly. I know Sherrod Baker's all the rage right now. I do wonder about his acceleration and long speed. Obviously, he's got really good feet, really good hips. Change of direction is really good. Balance is good. I'm not sure if he has that top-end gear. Landon Williams-Callis is a beast, though. He is Darren Sproles. Callis is not tiny. Blake Bryant says Callis is tiny. People mistake tiny for short. He's just short. He's not tiny. But he's related to Jaquiz Rogers, who was short.
Little bowling ball guys. Offensive line, Connor Robertson, him and Taff have this like looking back on the good old days moment after the game of like, look what we've done, buddy. And so that was pretty interesting because it's like, hey, dude, why are you being nostalgic right now about Texas football?
Yeah.
So there's a chance that he does not return, even with time, right? I don't know if you say transfer threat or maybe just hanging it up threat. What are we looking like here for Robertson?
Sometimes after guys sit a long time and they finally get to play, they feel like they have a sense of accomplishment. They finally serve their purpose, what they went there for. He's got his degree. Sometimes they just want to go pro in a different sport or a different, in business. But I think there's a good chance that whet his appetite. And he was getting better as the year went on too. So he could be a credible starter next year in the SEC. And who knows what happens from there. So, but I think they do have to work a little bit. He seemed I had the same feeling that you did, like, hey, why is he looking at the stadium like that? You know,
Yeah.
you're supposed to play there 6 more times or whatever it is. So we'll see. I tend to lean towards what did I put 40% there?
Yeah, 40%.
See, that's one I should have flipped. That should be 60%. I think it's 60%
Okay.
likely that he's back. I don't know, man. It was the weekend too, so I'm blaming Monday and then the weekend too. Yeah, that should be 60%. I do think it's more likely that he's back than not.
Okay.
I think the post game, I guess, on field stuff, and so the pregame thing, because Sark says, you know what, if you have any inkling or idea that this may be your last game, go through senior day, because we can do it again. Used to, they were kind of strict about like, no, you only go through senior day once and stuff like that. Now with this, you know, the way college football is, they're like, let's just do it so you can get your literal flowers and then go on. And if you have to do it again, well, you get the chance to do it again next year. Going through senior day, okay, that's one thing, but the looking back and looking at the field of battle, I think said a lot more than what the pregame thing did. But, you know, like I said, you can still come back. We saw, I don't know how many senior days Michael Taft got. May have been.
Yeah, walking on senior day is not binding. Yeah, it's not. It's
yeah.
I can't come back. I can't come back. Pete Nicholas is reporting and he's walked. You can't come back. That's not how it works, man. And Justin Wales asked if White Russian winter has begun. No, it has not. In fact, I had probably my lowest volume of adult beverages on the weekend since the season started. So no, I can't blame it on that. I don't know. White Russian weekend or White Russian winter will happen when probably if the moderator thread goes crazy at any point in time, and you know, tensions build, the pressure rises, and Texas is in a high leverage situation to get some portal work done. That's usually when White Russian winter begins. The Quinn Ewers recruitment a couple of years ago was the one that really kicked it off.
Y'all know more than I do about players, you know, that had doubts and came back and had good seasons. But I just, you know, how if a guy is saying like, "Hey, I think I'm done," like, what's the value? You know, if you bring him back, he's kind of like, "I'm kind of over it." How does that?
No, that's season fatigue, dude. That's just. Why do boxers unretire like 7 times? It's because after a fight they're drained. You just ran 10 miles or whatever, you ran 13 miles. You probably don't feel like running right now, but in a couple of weeks you'd be like, dang, I'm gonna hit the streets again, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's just fatigue sets in, and mental fatigue, physical fatigue, and then you start looking at it like, oh man, you know what, I was starting to play better, and this is a really good opportunity to come back and be a 20+ game starter at Texas. Or not quite that, but yeah, it could be if they have a good season. So I mean, that's pretty damn cool. He might have some regrets if he doesn't come back.
This may be his last chance to get paid to play football too.
That's true.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, there's fatigue. It's a long season, but I've already got it queued up to have some hate watch beers on Saturday. That A&M is A&M. Yeah, A&M in Miami Saturday, right? Yeah,
Saturday morning. Just stay up from Alabama OU. Just stay up and then hit that 11 a.m. kick.
Wait, Alabama OU's on Friday night?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Nate Kibble, 85%. And you had heard the young guard would test his options in the portal, but the staff done a great
job. That was actually a rumor that Joe heard first, and then I heard it as well. But you know, everybody's talking about got to get veterans, got to improve the offensive line immediately for next year, which is absolutely true. But you can't just leave the cupboard bare. You know, you have to have pieces developing. Football goes on after 2026, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And Nate Kibble should be able to compete, or at least be really good depth. And you never know when your number is going to be called. I felt he should have been playing this year. I think part of his frustration was that he wasn't playing this year. I don't know. They seem to have this thing where they only play 6'3" guys at right guard, and then you have to be like 6'6" to play left guard. Ideally for them, you know, Hayden Connor was big. They tried to go with Connor Stroh. They tried to go Nick Brooks, and then they had to settle for Cole Hudson. Nate Kibble seems to be, I guess, what they look for at right guard. I don't know the discrepancy in sizes there. We talked about a portal guy that they're looking at, Telek Lockett, this morning. He's obviously would just be a right guard for them. So Nate Kibble should be back, and that's a big deal, but maybe not for next year, but the year after that.
Do we have any? Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, some of these interior guys, you just look up and it's like, oh, he's a redshirt junior, and oh, here he is starting 10 games, and I don't know, maybe that is what Nate Kibble becomes. I've always kind of thought that if you're pitch and hold into the interior like he is with a 6'3" size, that you got to make the most of that development. And I think it's just he's always kind of been a player that's like, okay, we'll see in a couple of years. And I think Eric's still right. Like, you would have wanted to see him a little bit this year, but I think he would have, like, basically everybody they marched out in the interior that wasn't DJ Campbell, everybody was a year too early. And that may have held true for him as well, is why he didn't play.
Yeah, I don't know, man. A lot of people thought he should have been playing. I caught a couple reps when I was looking up other offensive linemen. He stood out to me a couple times, and I'm not some O-line watching savant. If Kibble's standing out to me, he probably should have played a little bit more, given their incredible issues at left guard.
How dare you doubt them, Eric? Is NATO practicing with the team while we're discussing interior offensive line?
I think he is still with the team. I haven't heard otherwise. I don't know. People keep asking me about that. Like, there's,
he's like the Bermuda Triangle of Texas football. Like, everyone's like, what is going on?
Who's the guy that wrote the Da Vinci Code? Dan Brown. He's going to write a book about. Is it Dan Brown? Something like that. He's going to write a book about NATO's 2025 season.
It's like a legendary.
Tom Hanks is NATO Umuzulu.
I can't wait. I'm going to leave you guys on a cliffhanger here for Colton Bosick. But first, guys, the holiday season is here, and Academy Sports and Outdoors has the legendary gifts you need at undefeatable prices every day. You can shop in-store or online at academy.com to save on gifts on everybody's list. From football jerseys and basketball hoops to fire pits and deer stands, the most wonderful time of the year happens here. This Christmas, give the gift of fun from Academy Sports and Outdoors. I go there at least once a week. It's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I need a compression sleeve for my elbow right now, so I'll be getting over to Academy soon.
You can get whatever you want, dude. I needed
this guy, Pablo Picasso. We appreciate you, Pablo. We care about NATO because of Zena. It doesn't sound like Zena's going anywhere. They feel good about Zena. I don't know. NATO is just a mystery we'll probably be working on well into the off season. I've heard differing things. At this point, if he came back, it wouldn't be the biggest shock of all time outside of it truly being surprising, I guess. It would just, right now, it seems like people are like, he's not going anywhere. So I don't know.
Can follow up our Kerstetter epic that we haven't been able to finish quite yet, Eric.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm saying, Eric, even if you do find out, don't tell anybody. I think it's good to have a little bit of ambiguity in your life, okay? You don't need all the answers. Yeah. Vosick, 50%. Oh, no, this is known as a coin flip in the business. What's going on here, man?
I try not to go with coin flips because it just says you don't know anything, or what we hear is in conflict. We had heard that he was going to test the waters, but even if he's playing, it doesn't mean he's not going to test the waters, because he's one good game away. He could have 2 sacks, and all of a sudden he looks different to schools that he might want to transfer to. I think there's a lot of snaps to go around next year, even with Lance Jackson taking up a lot of oxygen in place of Ethan Burke. There's still a lot of snaps, and Zena could play either side. Colton could play either side. Brad Spence is going to be playing linebacker some next year, so that opens up some edge snaps. So I hope they get him back. But obviously his career has not matched the talent level, largely because of injuries. And now you've got Lance Jackson, who's basically the Vitruvian man for Jack over there.
They need to keep him because they need a designated field goal blocker with Ethan Burke moving on. And that's something that I think he's probably one of the tallest guys on the defense. So that's a minor role, but
that's also something Lance could probably do because Lance is giant. The frustrating thing is we'd always heard Colton probably had more natural ability than Ethan, and we saw what Ethan did as a senior. You just really want Colton to be able to be healthy and put it all together.
Yeah, you don't want what could have been with Vosick because all the talent is there. It's just staying healthy, and fans are obsessed with him. They ask about. He's one of the top guys that gets asked about all the time.
I wonder if Buck may be good for him for next year. Just backing up Colin.
Yeah, maybe. That could be it. I don't know. They've got options behind Colin as well. Smith Orogbo is going to probably have a pretty big spring. I'm hearing some pretty good things about him, but hopefully they keep him because you can never have enough depth there. And obviously they rotate so much that some of these guys are getting 30 snaps in a game. So I mean, it's there's snaps to be had.
Orogbo has to be the fastest off the line behind Colin, because when we were breaking down and non-con, he got in late in the game, and we thought it was Colin for a second. He is fast, man. Off the line.
He's quick. He's also light, so he's got a little bit of an advantage over there. He's 40 pounds lighter than some of those other guys. Yeah, he's good. He needs a good offseason though, but he could. We'll watch him closely in spring because spring's going to tell us how much to expect from him. But people are excited about Smith.
He'll get the number 46 bump.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We love our 46s over there.
Kobe Black. It was a little shaky, right? Pre-A&M game. And then he starts making some actually like intelligent plays too, not just athletic plays, like understanding what's going on plays, which is where I get excited.
He made a couple smart plays, not just that pick. He read flow on one run where he'd had nothing to do. He went and found the ball carrier only about 5 yards down the field. A good tackle. Physical player. There's a lot of upheaval in the secondary right now. Some guys are going pro. Some guys, Derek Williams is going to the portal, at least for now. Probably need a new safeties coach. That could change up a bunch of things, not just schematically, but, personnel where they play. So you need a lot of long physical guys that can cover, and Kobe is certainly that. Right now, I think that A&M game went a long way for both sides. And Texas was reminded, hey, man, this guy is really good. He kind of lost some reps to Cade Phillips and Warren Roberson as the season went on. But, man, he's got to be in the rotation for next season. I think he's rejuvenated with that last performance.
If you have some defensive backs, like if Kobe comes back, you got Cade Phillips, Xavier Filsaime, Jonah Williams. That's a lot of wingspan in that secondary, looking at a lot of those different guys. And, Kobe, that corner position, the one that he's probably best for, you got to be able to mix it up in the run game because you're getting some boundary side runs. And if him doing what Eric was talking about in those couple plays, in addition to the pick and the good coverage, like that's an important part of everything. And him showing a slight propensity to do that, it bodes well for corner. It could bode well for other positions.
It's going to be.
Bring up this Kyle V comment real quick? Kyle Vashonska. I wonder how that's pronounced. He's got to be from like Schulenburg or something. Does Richard Wesley possibly taking up snaps next year factor into Vossick's decision? Well, Richard's going to have to play next year. He's incredibly talented, but he's also really young. He's still only 16. More physically advanced than most kids that age. I was very skeptical when I saw he was reclassifying, and I'm like, this will probably keep Texas from going after him. I watched the tape like, okay, that's not going to stop Texas at all. Kid's advanced physically for his age. I don't know if anybody saw him last week. He was doing the East Bay funk dunk, the old J.R. Ryder through the legs and still putting the ball down as an edge. That's just not something you're going to see.
That's my signature move, and he looks good doing it, man.
Yeah. And he's going to so he's going to play. He can also, the plan for him is to, get him on campus, see where he fits. Early in his career, he's probably going to play buck, which is Colin's position, but that might only be a year. So he could be behind Colin. You can still have Zena, Colton, and Lance rotating at Jack. So I don't think it's going to affect him too much because Colton could play either one. But it would have a material impact probably the year after that.
It's a good chance to say, hey man, Alan Clark's got a lot to work with over the next few years. That's going to be a lot of fun. Just past the Colin Simmons and Lance Jackson, like there's a lot of guys who you can look at and see.
Zena's going to be a pro. I mean, that room is entirely different than when PK first got there.
I'm going to remove this off the screen for a second because we have a question that I want to hit, but I want to, okay. This question will get answered in like a literal second. So here we go. All right. Wardell Mack. Someone asked, what do we do if Wardell Mack portals? So let's see what we have for here. A 25% return chance for Max. So first just talk about Max, and then we'll try to figure out what that actually means for everything. What's going on there, Eric?
Yeah. Well, we think as it stands right now, he's going to go to the portal after the game. I think he wants some tape. He hasn't played a ton this year. He's talented. He's ready to play. It's kind of a bit of a mystery that they didn't rotate him in more. Obviously, Grayson Littleton was really good there, and they also play out different personnel packages depending on what the offense is doing. But to me, Wardell Mack, if you move Grayson Littleton to corner next year, is your standard down nickel, against 11 personnel offenses. That's, which is, predominantly what they go up against. It depends. It changes up. Sometimes it's 12 personnel, but he could play nickel. He could be your main nickel next year. If he departs, then I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe you could leave Grayson there, which I'm not sure if that's ideal for corner.
I was going to say, do you leave Cade and Kobe outside and just leave Littleton at nickel?
That's an option, and it's Kobe still has to beat out Warren Roberson. We know Cade's going to start, but Warren, you've got three nickels there, or you've got three corners there, so you could leave Grayson at nickel, and then you could work on the bigger nickel, which right now would be Jordan Johnson-Rebel, I think, or Jonathan Cunningham. So they would be fine. I would still go to the portal and replace Mac with somebody that could potentially start there.
Nice. I love it when a plan comes together that quickly, Josh and Manny. Okay. There could be more players in question, and we're going to list them all now so you guys can get mad at them. People, it's tough, man, because as soon as you say if players negotiating or might transfer, then everyone wants to get mad at them, and then to say they don't, and then everyone's just mad at them. So these are the ones that we're willing to share right now. Potential NFL players getting these ballers back is going to be a huge key. Trevor Gooseby, 70% return. That's absolutely awesome. It's really hard to find a talented left tackle in the portal.
Yeah, it's going to cost them, but yeah, you can't leave anything to chance. Left tackle arches last year. Gooseby's got another level he can hit as a player. So yeah, right now I've got him at 70% to return. That might be a little bit low. I'm just nervous about what kind of push he's going to get in the coming in the next 2 months or 6 weeks, whatever, before he has to declare. Because people now the draft mockers, they don't have any games to go over, so they're going to start looking over tape left and right, and he's going to go up and down, and he can be reshuffled, and it might be consensus, first rounder. I tend to think if he comes back, he's a potential top 15 pick, maybe top 10. And I think they're playing the long game. He's young. He's not an immature person, but he is a little immature as far as just age and physical, and his physical well-being he needs to get stronger. So he's immature in that way. He's still growing into his body. So another year would do him well. And I think everybody involved sees the big picture there.
And, all the on-field stuff being what it is, his brother is going to be on campus in a little while to play basketball for Sean Miller. And Gooseby throughout the year, especially after Austin, his brother, committed and signed, he would light up just talking about the fact that his brother is going to be a Longhorn too. So that's definitely, you put together all the on-field aspects of maybe what you need to improve on and what, you can do again next year. You're going to get a lot of looks regardless, protecting Arch Manning, but then your brother's showing up and you get to have an experience on the 40 acres that few other families can say that they were able to, take part in.
Yeah. PR side too, he started to get buzzed late in the season, right, amongst the draft guys. If you look at now he's known, right, known commodity. So now you have a year, you can generate more of that buzz and become even more legitimate in the NFL's eyes.
And nowadays you can get paid while you wait. So that kid's in a good spot.
Hero Canoe, Paul is ecstatic about this. Paul would pick Canoe plays all the time. At one time, he picked someone he thought was Canoe the whole time, and then finally I squinted, and it was a different player. But anybody that plays like Canoe, he also likes apparently. So 75% here for our in-house German.
Yep. And what a really good pairing he's going to be with January. I don't think people talk enough about Alex January. Canoe, he's made good relationships there. He and Becton are real tight. Loves working out, loves being around the strength and conditioning facilities, has some good leadership qualities, had a really good year. Played better than I was expecting when they first landed him. And I think this is the sort of year that gets him on the radar, kind of what you were just talking about with Gooseby is like, okay, now you become known. Now they're going to watch your every move next year. And if you have a good start to the season, you play Ohio State second week of the year, have a good game there, man, then you get the draft buzz building up, and he can go and become a second, maybe second round draft pick next year.
His ability just to kind of be solid in every aspect of what that position asked for was, I kind of feel like because we were on the Murphy and Sweat high and then kind of had the Collins and Broughton, that maybe we didn't recognize what Canoe did this year as fully. I know Paul did, Homer and Eric, I know y'all did, but I feel like somehow, even though he had this great season, he flew a little under the radar. And if he comes back he's not going to be flying under any radars again.
He was
no people. Yeah, the run defense was actually a little bit better than last year. I think when you had Collins and Broughton. I'm not sure he jumps off the page like Collins and Broughton. It might be because he's not quite as big and long as those two guys, but his quickness off the ball, he pairs it with a good swim move. He's a pretty destructive player. And another year, I think he's going to be really good. So getting him back is extremely important. We talk about you can win a national championship in December and January. A lot of that has to do with retention. I'm not saying Texas is going to win the national championship. I've got to be a lot more skeptical about this team, but getting guys like Gooseby and Hero Canoe back is a strong start. Let's see if they can keep that momentum going with any of these other guys.
Yeah, he's fun on the mic too. He's a good interview. He's a funny guy. Jelani McDonald, 75% too, man. We're looking really good with the guys that we really, really want to keep. Now, Jelani, you see him pop, incredible athlete, still has steps to go learning. When you can't see him and you can see him in all 22, there's more room to be given there, right? So pairing that incredible athleticism with the skill of a safety, I think another year for him will be awesome. And then next year he can go out as like a sure thing to the NFL.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of good advice right now, and I think it kind of rings true with him, kind of what he suspects himself. And so you got a little confirmation bias, but in the positive way. Yeah. Sometimes you see it the wrong way, where a kid thinks he's ready for the NFL, and everybody's telling him that, and he makes a bad decision. He knows he still has some growth ahead of him, but he feels like, hey, look, man, next year I could be the number one safety coming out. Texas has the potential for 4 first-rounders next year with Arch, Colin basically locks. Gooseby's probably a lock. And then McDonald has tons and tons of upside. I mean, you can watch the NFL for a year straight and not see too many guys that have Jelani's raw materials to work with. So another year, maybe some new coaching will help out too. But right now it looks really good for him to return. You got to they got to figure out the NIL, but I think Texas is going to be highly motivated to do so.
I think the fact that Andrew Mukuba, he could have declared after his junior year at Clemson, but he didn't. He wanted to get one more year, wanted to obviously be a little bit closer to home, turn into a second-round pick, turn into a playmaker for, a great defense, to want to help Texas win a game in the playoff, is doing great things for the Eagles. And sometimes I think there's too much put into, he's wearing the same number, because I think Jelani wore 4 in high school. But I think there's going to be people looking at Mukuba and telling McDonald, like, you know what, that one extra year – turn Mukuba into a fringe first-round or second-round guy. Imagine what you could do, because I think Jelani is a little bit more athletically gifted than Mukuba, at least at the size he's at. He's probably got about 10, 15 pounds. So I think there's good examples for guys who, if they declared right now, who'd be a day 3 pick, to look and see, like, you know what, one more season, again, getting paid in college at the right price, having fun right down the road from where you grew up. You can get paid in college, have good tape again, and then go and get paid more in the NFL by the result of having another great year in a position that's still, I don't want to say new for him, but it's a little more fresh than it is for some of the other guys in the safety room. It's
not just about fixing your draft slot either. It's about being ready to make an impact when you get there. NFL will give up on you real quick. You can fall, you can get lost in the cracks ASAP if you're not ready to go. So just being ready, even coming back, let's say he came back and he's just better, and for whatever reason, some of these guys are capped out on where they're going to get drafted based on size, specs and all that. And Jelani's not, but let's say a player is, just being ready, mentally, physically ready to go a year older is going to help you make a team and then help you stick with a team. So, just being ready is a huge deal. It's not about, it's kind of like the Mannings, they don't care about when the NFL is ready for them. They care about when they're ready for the NFL.
Yeah, I think the same thing, dude. Maybe Andre Kojo coming back from injury could help bolster the O-line if healthy.
He's not going to start. He could be valuable depth for sure. That was a bit of a bummer. The thing this year would have been, they probably would have tried him at left guard, and it would have worked better than Stroh and Brooks. So that's kind of the issue. But he's not going to start over Baker, but he can. They're gonna address guard with the portal. But he needs to come back and prove that he's healthy. First of all, obviously we've seen running backs come back that were not healthy enough, not ready to go. So who knows how healthy he's going to be? But hopefully he can come back and be depth.
Yeah, and good O-lines have depth. So bolster is the right word. That's what you need because everybody's like, well, once we go to the portal and we get our guys, we're good. It's like, no, man, if guys get hurt, and you saw a 1 week link, the left guard position destroyed half a season. So it's like you also need all those second tier guys to be ready to rock. And then is Justice big enough yet? He made an awesome play versus A&M on our film study as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is big enough. He's just so explosive and he's powerful. Some guys wouldn't be big enough at that size. Some guys, are. He's just a freak athlete, so he can get by a little bit. But I don't know what that guy really weighs. I hear things all over the place. I don't think he's ever been as small as some have said. I don't think he's ever been as big as some have said. If you watch him on tape, some of it's garbage time, but some of it's not. He looks ready to go. It doesn't matter now. He's going to have another offseason. He'll be fine.
I think he was the one that pressured the Taff interception, if I can remember back.
Yeah, he was.
Got in Reed's face and was able to make the play, and he beat his man. That's for sure.
He was
super powerful.
He was obviously really good at all the stuff they asked him to do, and it was a little bit more specialty this year. He's just got to be a standard down player, and especially with, I'm sure, what the investment is for him from the program, you got to be able to play that guy on first and second down and not just on third down. And he obviously showed signs of being able to do that this year, but that's the thing, is getting these, extremely physically talented players who, somebody in the chat mentioned it, like he's playing 2A ball in Georgia, and he didn't even play his full senior year. I don't think. You got to be able to, do it down after down after down. And he's on the way to being able to do that, obviously. Just got to see that step get taken.
Yeah, he's going to be awesome because he doesn't really have to come off the field. He'll come off the field because they rotate so much. But, 4th down and 1 on the goal line, you just play him at edge. You take off one of your edges, you still basically have a 4th D tackle out there. So he's going to be good. He'll be fun to cover this spring. And he's going to play a ton next year. But he flashed a lot in his limited snaps. It's kind of harder to see, when they play interior defense. But you watch all 22, and he gets off the ball really quick, moves really well. He can be violent with his hands. So, another year getting coached up, he'll be ready to go.
Do you remember you sent a picture one time, and it was him like kind of a couple yards off the ball, but still in a 3-point stance?
Yeah.
And I think Ian noted, like, yeah, that's something they used to do with, was it Teddy Bruschi, I think?
Not with Bruschi, but they did it on the Desert Swarm defense. Yeah, I think it's like a way to help them build up momentum. And
I was going to say, get more head start.
Yeah, like carry with more punch behind them. Yeah, you can do anything you want with that guy.
If you're doing stuff like that for a player in his freshman year, it shows how much you think you can actually do with him down the line.
Yeah. All right, before we hit coaches, I know everyone's really excited for that. But first, let's hear a word from our main man, Andre the Lawyer.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results: Andre the Lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the Lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
Oh, yeah, coaches. Chris Jackson, wide receiver coach. Return odds 25%. Why?
Yeah, I don't know the reason, but he doesn't have a contract after this next game, I guess. And it doesn't, I haven't heard anything about a renegotiation. So yeah, I'd be surprised.
I got notifications on. It's like breaking Florida running back, and then it's not ball. So I'm like, okay, whatever, skip.
Is it Jacoby Jackson?
No, it's KD Daniels, who I think's.
I was say, like, everyone's like, we need ball. And I'm like, dude, I'll take Jacoby Jackson. Like, I'll take almost any running back right now.
Yeah, people need to give up that ball dream, man.
No.
We're often accused of pumping sunshine. I could be drumming up all kinds of interest on that one, and I'm not. I'm putting a wet blanket on it because that's not how we operate.
Well, they also freed up some money too, right? With people are like, well, if Lagway leaves, that means that the offense, it's like they can also just turn around and give a lot of money to Jaden Baugh at that point,
Yeah, they're not losing Baugh, Dallas Wilson, or Vernell Brown.
And they got a good quarterback. The Tramel Jones kid is He'll probably do some good things if they don't go to the portal for a quarterback. But looking at Jackson, if this comes and he decides to leave, like, you're going to be able to find somebody for this role who's going to want this job. That's something, Eric, I think you've mentioned before. Like, so much about this Texas football program now, it's still very attractive to work for. You're getting paid really well as far as the market goes. You're in a city, you're in Austin, and you're going to have guys like, imagine if you're the guy who gets Ryan Wingo to be more of a receiver than an athlete on the field. Imagine if you're the guy who is able to get someone like, Khalil Lockett, who Chris Jackson and company did a great job recruiting, to step into a role next season and take a huge step and be productive. Like the fact that Texas is as talented as it is right now is going to attract a lot of potential coaches, just because of the fact that you're going to be able to put your name on some very quality football.
And you got the quarterback.
Yep.
That's a huge factor. If you're going to take the job, do you got a quarterback that can make you look good and get it to your guys? That's such a dependent position. It's probably the most dependent position to have a good season. Ooh, there we go. This is the one, Eric.
I hear the Jaws music.
All right, guys, get ready. Here's my slow reveal. 60% return likelihood. I don't know if chat's going to like that, Eric. What's going on, man?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going to happen here. I've got a lot of puzzle pieces over the last few months. A lot of them were pointing towards him being replaced. And of late, I'm not so certain. Is Sark really going to get rid of his running backs coach and his wide receivers coach? Now, they're obviously not the most important parts of the offensive brain trust. But that's still, for someone that talks about continuity all the time, that would be a pretty big shift to then go and change the offensive line coach.
Why not hire a coordinator at that point? Because it's a new stat. Like, because that's the thing. If you're getting rid of everyone minus Jeff Banks, then it's just like, well, and you can end up in a rebuild really quick if you change too many pieces.
Well, I mean, he's got Milwee still too, and then so that Milwee's the one that I think affects the offensive coordinator. I don't know. I just don't see him making all these changes ahead of this year. If we were going into 2027 and Sark was coming back, and I could see him going a little bit more wholesale on the changes. I'm having trouble seeing it right now. Now, I do think Flood's people have been putting out feelers, even during the season. That UConn job, I think they had some interest in that. I think they've had some looks at the NFL, but right now, it seems like Kyle Flood's going to be back. They're doing some things. What I'm sensing they're looking at in the portal just seems to have Kyle Flood's, fingerprints all over it too.
I think I'm trying to think of a devil's advocate argument for him after this 2026 season, and that we all know, and we've written plenty about how everything to set up this 2026 season was not done properly by Kyle Flood. When you're marching out Connor Stroh, who's not ready for Ohio State, and when you're marching out Nick Brooks because Connor Stroh wasn't ready and he wasn't ready at Florida. I'm trying to, and it's really hard to find one, especially when he is literally the highest paid offensive line coach in the country.
Well, yep. I mean, at least they don't have any penalties.
Well, my thing would be different if they were good pass blockers and run blockers his whole time. They've always been bad run blockers. They've been pretty good pass blockers, so they lost that. But it's like it'd be different if it was just one very strange year, but the run game has just not been there in general. There's a reason our red zone efficiencies need Arch to be our red zone offense now. So, yep, this is an interesting move to hitch your wagon there if Flood stays along, but also you can end up in that rebuild. But yeah, I think everyone kind of knows how they feel about that. All right, Dwayne Aquino, 10% return chance.
Yeah, I don't see him coming back.
What gives you 10%? That he just throws a mutiny, takes over as head coach? Where? How do you get that 10%?
Well, like I say, I don't
can't be 100%.
Yeah, I don't do 100%, or 0% in this case, which would be 100% the other way. I don't know. I don't even know that he's actually like legitimately coaching them. I would love to know what he's doing over there. I don't know, like They've got grad assistants, or I don't know if it's a grad assistant. Who's a kid that played for him at Stanford? He kind of does a lot of the coaching. What's that kid's name? I'm drawing a blank on it. He's not a kid anymore.
But you got a damn shadow.
Malik Antoine. Kid from Baton Rouge, played at Stanford under Akina. He does a lot of the coaching. Dwayne Akina doesn't have a relationship with anybody. It's just, I just don't know.
It's time to say thank you and hope you enjoy retirement and get a good DBs coach.
Yep. All right, guys. We got through it. That's a fun one. The offseason is kind of interesting, man. It's without having
December. Hey, December is the most important month of the year outside of any month that had meaningful games in it. We're all of us are looking for all these positive signs on Sark making hard decisions, and we've seen him do the hard decisions. Even if we thought, maybe Chad Scott got a raw deal, we do think that Sark upgraded running backs coach. Made a hard decision. CJ Baxter was one of his favorite players. Thank you for your service, CJ. Hard decision on Connor Stroh. He kind of Kyle Flood wronged Stroh by playing him this year. But that revealed that, hey, Connor Stroh is never going to be the answer at Texas. Got to make a hard decision on a good program, guys. So Sark is making these hard decisions. We want to see some more good decisions going forward, and we want to see some cutthroat additions in the portal, which I think some are going to start coming out a little bit in December, but we won't know for sure until January when those players officially hit the portal.
This is when you're winning your national championship. Like, it's right here. It's right here. It's right now.
Can you bring up this Joshie Manning one?
Which one? He's a freaking
last one.
Stroh was not a hard decision.
From the human element side, from a coach where you have to lead these young men, from where you failed them, this kid never should have seen the field. Yeah, I think if you're a human, it is a hard decision. It's not a hard decision from a roster management. Okay, this guy's not a Texas level player.
Joshie Manning's not human. He's a sociopath.
I know. There's a lot of these Texas fans that are like that. They're just all widgets. Our own Ian Boyd only sees X's and O's too.
Yeah.
I think there's also I think the number has been about 17 or 18 in that room over the course of the Sarkisian era. Once they kind of righted everything and got the numbers better compared to what they were under Herman. But I don't know. Do you need 17 or 18? I guess, the more lottery tickets you buy, the better chance. But, if you're buying $1 scratch offs, your return's not going to be very good.
Can you quit talking about lottery? They should have 2 lines at convenience stores for people that buy lottery tickets and everybody
drive
else.
me nuts.
I cannot stand that.
Yeah, we saw when we were going to Dallas, we saw that the Powerball or whatever was $1 billion. People in the car was like, we should go buy lottery tickets. I was like, no, you should. Whenever it's 8 million, that's when you should, because there's less people playing. But inherently, it's harder to win when it's 1 billion. But the logic's backwards. It's like play the Powerball when it's low is how you're more likely to actually win. But it's nice to pay $1 and dream that you could be a billionaire in 3 days. Like, it's worth $1 to me, I guess.
Nah, some of these people are standing in line for 20 minutes. For
the scratch offs are the most brutal because they never seem sure of themselves. I'm like, you clearly do this daily, and you're still like, what's that?
Yeah,
one?
And they want to scratch it off in line in case they win. They can get another one. Yeah. It's like, get out of here, dude.
There's the convenience store around the corner. I know people, they'll just scratch the barcode. Like, they won't even play the game. They'll just scratch the barcode and scan it and hope they win.
Lord.
They're efficient. Yeah, dude, it's brutal to get stuck behind a lottery guy. That's for sure. Okay, so we talked about people that could head out. Let's talk about somebody that joined the Longhorns. He joined RBU. We get Florida's coach. Kentucky's like, damn it. As soon as their media starts putting out biographies, you know that it's like right there. And snatched them up immediately.
I saw the wording on some of those. So this is what Kentucky's getting in Jabbar Jaluk. Like, whoa, Kimosabi. Slow down a little bit. Texas has entered the chat.
Yeah. So Texas comes in, makes the move, and you kind of give a little timeline here. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight that Sark had a good process, a much better process than last year, where I don't even know what was happening. We were scrambling, like, what is going on? Because half of America was lining up to try to get that job last year. I had people hitting me up I hadn't talked to in years. Hey, man, what's going on with the job? Hey, who are they looking for, man? Hey, I developed so-and-so back in 2018. It's like everybody's angling for the job. And then And then, Chad Scott, and there's nothing wrong with Chad Scott. I actually think Florida's taking a look at him, which would be super funny if he got to coach.
Yeah.
He gets to coach Baugh, and everyone's like, oh, wow, Chad Scott's a really good coach, because people have no idea what running back coaches even do.
Yep.
They just see that either the running back was good and the coach was therefore good, or the running back was bad, therefore the coach was bad.
Yep.
But that'd be interesting. So anyway,
I would like to see one running back coach in the nation look good this last year too. That's why it's rough with Chad Scott. It's like he was given every awful situation. So it's that too. It's like but we still upgraded, which is important.
Yeah. And so Sark just ran a really good process. It was pretty quiet. Nobody really had information in our market. All of our information came from outside of the market. So it was quiet, low key, fast, quick, decisive, but they also lined up some backup plans in case that, things didn't go well with Jaluk upon his interview. But once that interview hit, Jaluk stuck around for practice the next day, and that was a wrap.
I'm just excited that it's kind of funny to see Texas hop on there's a carousel is not the right word, but there's like a rotation of assistants that kind of make their way through the SEC. And it's because they do good things, and usually they leave their respective programs because the head coach got fired. That was kind of the case, obviously, with Napier and, Summerall not retaining him. And now Texas is finally getting in on guys who have, for good reasons, rotated around the SEC, because Jaluk obviously has those New Orleans connections and now has recruited across the entire basically I-10 and I-20 corridor for the past 20-ish years. And he's got Texas experience. He had a year at Texas Tech. Like there's so many reasons why guys like Jaluk keep getting hired. And now Texas is finally jumping on board with one of those types of coaches.
Yeah. And Eric talks about the recruiting side, which you still need to recruit. Sure, the money is going to get you probably 70% of the way there. You still got to get 30%. And we hear about it all the time. Texas has money, and then we will hear repeatedly that this other coach has a better relationship. But it's not just the closing of recruiting. He's identified talent that's performed. Not just you're recruiting the 5-star. That 5-star or whoever you recruit went on to be a really dominant back. And so that's what matters. It's closing, but it's evaluating and getting the right recruit. We just saw a string of high-ranked 5-star guys come at Texas, and it didn't work, right? So they got to be able to perform after we all get excited about the recruiting ranking. And he has
Tashard Choice is taking a lot of slings and arrows, but I mean, the injuries. Nobody ever talks about the injuries. They just talk, hey, the room sucks. Well, okay, I know you forgot to mention the devastating injuries. That plays a factor. If Jaden Baugh got hurt, that would be devastating to that room. It's just injuries matter. You have to factor for that. But I do like the fact that he's known as an evaluator, because that you can save a ton of money. Dude, running backs, Jaden Baugh was not the most highly rated guy. They stole him from Arkansas. Now, Arkansas was on a run with finding these big backs. I don't know what the heck's going on over there.
Their backs have been huge for like years.
Go talk to them. Georgia was going to play Jaden Baugh at linebacker. Now, I've seen the high school tape. I don't know what, seemed like pretty obvious running back to me, but that might be hindsight. But evaluation can save you a lot of money. Evaluation helps you get on them early, which helps with the relationship. Mm-hmm. Relationships matter because you still need to seat at the table. Let's say everybody has the same deal on the table. You need a tiebreaker. Relationship exactly. Could be the tiebreaker. So relationships do matter. Relationships are always going to matter. And I think he's got that. Another thing up the article I talked about is toughness. He's from New Orleans, and not a lot of punks coming out of New Orleans, and his room is tough. Yeah. So that's something that was highlighted to me by a source in the New Orleans area. So his room is going to be tough. He's going to have his room under control, which that's a good thing. You want accountability within the room. You want people doing things the right way, maximizing. So it seems like a big win, and I do feel like Chad Scott got a raw deal, but at the same time, I do feel like Sark made a really good hire.
Charlie had a good article over the weekend. He caught up with a lot of DFW area coaches. Got some quotes from him, and this is a good one that speaks to what you were talking about. Lots about evaluation, lots about his ability to develop relationships. But then this one, it's an interesting hire for sure. You don't usually see these types of coaches at Texas. They normally have buttoned up, clean cut guys, but Jaluk is rough around the edges and rugged, and I love it. Texas went outside the box with this hire, and that's what you need in college football.
Yeah, there's a group of coaches in Dallas that have an edge about them. and they tend to think that Texas is maybe on the softer side, at least, personality wise.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I texted Charlie. I was like, man, I know you're talking to some dudes at Sock on that one.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I wasn't talking to your boy. I was talking to so-and-so. Like, yeah, that just sounds like things that the guys at Sock would say.
Yeah.
But you want that credibility with those guys. They put out good football players. They put out tough football players. And their schools, a lot of those schools have really good football culture too. So, you want to endear yourselves to them. So Jaluk is going to have some credibility built in, baked in already in Dallas. That's a good start.
Texas is a little bit corporate, and so having a guy on there that's a lot of decisions from Texas is like a boardroom decisions. And so having a guy with some edge, and frankly, the offense needs it, right? If you can get Jaluk to fire it up a little bit, he's running backs coach, but you have edge with Arch as well. But if you can get a little bit more attitude just on the offense, that would be enjoyable. I would allow such a thing.
Yeah, this guy's probably going to fit really well with Trey Wisner,
Yeah. All right. We can pull up a little bit of Charlie. Charlie did a good piece on this, breaking down Jaluk's kind of history. And he says that he's a room builder too, which is what I like. Okay. He's finding different talents that mesh well together as change-up backs and all of that. He's not just saying you're highly rated. Come on. You're the same guy, but you're highly rated. Come on. And so that's what he's able to do. So he does look for the balanced physical back that can get those hard yardage. And then Charlie goes deep on recruits that he pulls from these types. But then he says he'll also pick him up a home run threat, a change of pace back. So you're going to have Baugh and then Jackson, right? And these kind of things where you're going to have the speed. So he's not just star watching. He's building an actual room that can complement each other, which is nice as well.
He's added like a variety of backs and coached a lot of different backs because of all the different levels he's coached at. Like he was at La Tech, he was on Napier's staff at Louisiana, and so he's been able to get 1,000-yard seasons from a lot of different guys. And then you also look at the stars that he's coached. Like Baugh is the one everybody talks about. As awful of a person as Darius Geis was off the field, he got a lot from him on the field when he was at LSU. Sir Roderick Thompson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like there's a lot of different archetypes that he's coached at different levels that shows just what he can do with at a place like Texas.
That's important because that's evaluation. It's like a movie with a director, right? If they work with the same actor every time, you're like, okay. But when you can see him getting these incredible performances out of different guys, that's when you know that they actually have an eye for talent and can coach, right? Not just the same guy. So that's really interesting. And then Coach goes on to tell us who he has some relationships with in Texas. So y'all should sign up for Inside Texas to read all of that.
And that Michael Steven kid, that first one he mentioned, I looked at that kid's highlights. He's got a 32 on his ACT. So I'm penciling that kid in for a visit already.
And he does theater as his elective.
Yeah. The Zion Williams one. I'm like, this kid's going to LSU. He does theater and he plays Santa Claus. He's going to LSU. All right.
Yeah. All right, guys, anything we're watching for this week? Anything before we get out of here? We got like a minute left, but anything going on in the news?
I'm watching. We'll get some practice reports up. I haven't been quite as focused on the bowl game just because, we had all the opt-outs last week. The opt-outs are coming out today. We reported that. We're trying to stay ahead of the game. I care a lot about what I'm hearing about portal guys that might go in. I had a really good call with somebody in a personnel department this weekend. I'm going to start dropping some notes on that. Basically, the lay of the land behind the scenes. It's a mess, but you can also use that mess to your benefit. If people are, this guy said, anybody that's had a coaching change, their whole roster is getting shopped. He said the only team that's in the playoffs that's not really has to worry about the portal right now, or the only team that does have to worry right now is Ole Miss, and that's because Kiffin left. He said all these other schools, Florida, Auburn, their roster's getting shopped pretty much nationally. So you just got to be really cognizant. If you make a coaching change, you better have your roster buttoned up to the best of your ability. Now, he did say there's not a lot of noise on the Texas kids because Texas keeps whoever they want.
Yeah, we do. We'll end it with this. Homer hates Wes Anderson. You heard it here first. I actually don't enjoy Wes Anderson films, so you were actually correct there. But shout out to his Austin ties. All right, everyone. Head over to Inside Texas for all that stuff Eric's talking about. Join for $1. That's cheap. You can do it. We would love to see you over there. Awesome community as well, and an active board. I do a lot of scouting of other teams, and I'll go to their boards, and it'll be 2 posts with 3 comments, and you're like, well, how does this even exist? That's not the case on Inside Texas. You're gonna have there's a ton of engagement. So everyone, thank you guys. Joe, awesome performance, man. Thank you for stepping in.
And I don't think we ever mentioned it. Congrats to Homer. Dallas half marathon completed yesterday. Well done. Hope hope your chair is very, very comfortable today because you're going to be in it.
My wife with the massage gun for just like an hour yesterday, so I'd be able to walk today. So that went well, but it was fun. If y'all can ever do the Dallas Marathon or half, go do it. It's pretty fun to run through Dallas. Guys, this was IT Live, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have a wonderful Monday. Later, y'all.